Okay, so I wanted to do an Aquaman review when the movie first came out in December, but I was kind of like in shock. I was so excited to see it, but I was also really nervous. I'm like, oh no, they're doing a lot of plot lines. They're doing The Trench, they're doing Ocean Master, they're also doing Black Manta. They also had to explain kind of his origins. I'm like, is this going to be good? Is it not going to be good? And then I saw it and I was kind of like processing. I was like, okay, I liked this. I liked this. Did I like this? So I felt like I really had to sit with it. And then I bought the movie in advance. It came and I watched it like a bunch more times. And I feel like I can do a review properly. So I've said in other videos that I am a huge comic geek and that Marvel is like my main comic love. But the truth is, Aquaman is my favorite superhero. Now, all you little haters out there are like, oh my gosh, Aquaman. No, he is a badass. He has always been a badass. Just, I feel like he gets a bad rep, mainly because of that stupid Super Friends cartoon that was way back out in what I want to say the 60s. But anyway, he has always been a badass. And the New 52 storylines, they pretty much made every other comic suck. But his story arc in the New 52 actually was really good. And it only got better in the DC Rebirth. I mean, Mira became so much more of a badass herself. She wasn't just like, oh, the wife, the damsel, well, she was never really a damsel. He did have to rescue her, though, in a long comic arc. But she was kind of jealous of other women, and anyway, she really became her own hero. So I really loved the New 52 with him and the Rebirth. But yeah, he's my favorite superhero. So I was so pumped to see this movie. Like I said, he's my favorite. This movie was fantastic. I love it. It was great. Jason Momoa did a fantastic job. Amber Heard did a good job. And here's the thing. I'm normally very picky when they cast actors and actresses who do not look like their comic counterpart. I was fine. Actually, dare I say, I was happy with the casting of Jason Momoa because Aquaman has had such a bad rep for years. You needed a really strong, likable actor to bring his own charisma and it factor to the role and make people really impressed with him. So he wasn't just this good-looking blonde hero guy. They got a very strong, funny actor to portray him, and he did a fantastic job. I mean, you look at Jason Momoa. He's very strong. He has this intimidating strength, but he's also very, very likable, and he really brought that. It translated from the actor into his role in the film. So I was very happy with that choice, and I thought they did a fantastic job. And I did like the fact that they really showed Aquaman as kind of being a little blue collar. He was from working class family. His dad was a lighthouse keeper. His father made sure he was educated. He was not some big dumb brute. Well done. James Wan, fantastic job. I mean, the effects didn't exactly look super real, but they were gorgeous. And so I really was impressed by how they made Atlantis look, and they brought so many like fan favorites into this film. You got Volko, you got Merc, you got Orm. And it's interesting, they gave Orm the kind of blonde look that Aquaman usually has, but he was a very good, maybe a little too sympathetic to an extent. I don't know. They'd want to ground it and make it realistic as possible. So, yeah, you kind of understood where Orm was coming from. He hated what the surface was doing to their oceans, polluting it and whatnot, and he felt like war was the proper path to take. I wasn't too thrilled with them making the King of Zebel Mira's father, but I understood, simplified the plot a little bit, because they're kind of enemies in the comics, and, well, not kind of, they are enemies in the comics, and he was sort of her love interest. Basically, he was believed they were supposed to be together and be a match and married. With made him her father in this, it kind of helped, like I said, simplified the plot. Yeah, and it's interesting that they made her engaged to Orm way back when in the comics, Atlanteans, royal Atlanteans, aren't supposed to marry anyone outside the Atlantean community, and so they had to make Mira an honorary Atlantean citizen. But, you know, it's fine. They got around that. It's kind of smart, if anything, to make an arranged marriage between Mira and Orm, because Zebul is such a powerful nation in themselves, and so is Atlantis. It makes sense with the match. And Mira even said in that horrible Justice League movie that she knew Queen Atlanta, and that she had taken her in, and she mentions to Orm in the Aquaman movie that Mira had been teaching them when they were children, so you really got the feeling that Mira grew up in Atlantis and with Atlanta, so she really had a sense of who this beloved queen was before she was sacrificed to the trench. But this was just a really, really good movie. I mean, I'm sad that I have to wait 4 years for the next movie to come out. So I watched this movie 3 times before I said, okay, now I can do my review. Now I feel confident in saying I can talk about this movie and know what I'm talking about and be happy with it. Wasn't crazy about all the James Wan horror Easter eggs. Like, I didn't need to see the Annabelle doll, a bunch of different shots. If anyone doesn't know about it or wants to see it, you can see Annabelle. When Mira takes Arthur to where his ship is hidden, there's a little Annabelle doll, like, sitting in the wreckage, or not wreckage, but just piles of, like, trash. And I believe there's an Annabelle doll in the air pocket where they go, where there's a ship and there's an air pocket where you can just walk into. I think she's there. I did like the Easter egg horror book where the snow globe is on in the beginning of the movie when Aquaman's narrating about his mother and his father and how they met, because that horror tale kind of ties in. It's kind of about a hero, and I think there's like a kraken sea monster in it. I could be wrong, but you know, that kind of foreshadows later on into the film with the I think it's called the Kareth, who's voiced by Julie Andrews. I love that. But yeah, just excellent, good movie. You can tell these actors and the director, of course, James Wan, really believed in this project. They were putting in so much effort, and just good job, good work, everybody. Just why am I still holding this? The bit is over. I said what I should just put this down. Okay, that's my Aquaman review. Finally, this should have been here in December, but you know what? Good things come to those who wait. I don't know. I don't even know how many people watch this channel. Anyway, so that is my review. Adieu. Bye.